Hey everybody, what is going on? Hexlex here. Got another episode of This Week in Master Duel for you. So, for those who are unfamiliar, once a week I like to cover all the latest happenings in Master Duel, because it can be kind of hard to keep up with the game and everything that's going on sometimes, unless you're like me and just no life it, but no. In any case here, yeah, we'll go ahead and take a look at and see what's going on with in-game notifications. We don't really have much in the way of leaks actually this time around because we just had a new selection pack, but because we did just have a new selection pack, we were absolutely going to take a look at some tournament results and just see how much this new selection pack has impacted the meta. So, as always, we're going to start right off the top here in-game notifications. And, yeah, we actually have quite a bit to cover, like I said, because we didn't do one last week. Usually, when the selection pack actually comes out, I don't do a This Week in Master Duel, like, that week. I just kind of, like, you know, open the packs, then we do a week of testing, and then we see what the results were. So, new accessories were added, the wallpaper for Caesar Valius, as well as the Stake Your Soul sleeve, and an icon for Raisin as well. So, Vanquish Soul fans are definitely eating well. I will say that the Stake Your Soul sleeve does actually look pretty good. I'm not usually the biggest fan of sleeves that are just card art, with a couple of exceptions, and this is actually one of them. I like the Stake Your Soul sleeves here, So yeah, Vanquish Soul fans not only, of course, get their accessories, but they also get their cards coming in the latest selection pack. We've, of course, already opened quite a few of these. I've talked quite a bit about these decks. I haven't talked as much about Vanquish Soul, just because I haven't built the deck myself, and in that regard, I don't have any experience playing with it. But it has actually been putting up some pretty impressive results lately, so we'll go ahead and see those in the tournament results section a little bit later here into the video. Of course, we also got a whole pile of new Cybers cards, which have been very, very helpful for various Cybers decks. We've been seeing Mathmech, of course, doing very well lately. But of course, on top of that, Ignister, Salamangreat, Code Talkers, pretty much every single Cybers deck has benefited from the new support. And then there's Novales, which are just kind of like here. I don't know. They're definitely not a bad deck by any means, and mechanically they are in fact quite cool, but as far as like meta impact and overall strength compared to other meta decks, Novales not quite as there as the Cybers and Vanquish Soul stuff, so. We also had the new secret pack, Sisters of Light. So we did finally get the Exo Sister secret pack. This is something that a lot of people I think have been waiting for quite a while. I was actually waiting for it months ago after opening, because I think Martha came in the same pack as Tier Limits, right? After opening that selection pack, I had a playset of Martha and also Tug Magnifica in my collection for like months. I waited months for them to make it, and it's funny, if they had made the secret pack sooner, like when Tier Limits were Tier 0, I definitely would have actually opened it to build Exo Sisters, but I don't know. After playing against Exo in that format, I was like, okay, maybe this isn't actually a deck I want to commit to building. I don't know if I really like the playstyle. The theming for Exo Sisters is phenomenal. I love the deck thematically. Mechanically, not really so much at all, actually. Granted, Exo Sisters did get a recent boost in power from Sakitama, being a rank 4 based deck. Sakitama and Aratama end up helping Exo Sisters quite a bit, but yeah, I'm not going to be going for the secret pack myself, but if you are interested in building the deck, it is here now. Also includes some artifact support. It's definitely been a hot meta since Artifact as an archetype was meta relevant, but, you know, it's there. Oh, there was also an update to the card report. That's actually kind of interesting. Some of the things here anyway. Finisher rank. Actually, there's 3 new things that it displays now for certain cards. Not every card, but certain cards. Finisher rank, ranking the number of times the monster has reduced the opponent's life points to 0 by battle or card effects. Win rate when played. I think this is the most interesting bit here. Win rate of duels in which the monster was normal or special summoned. And average battle damage. Yeah. I feel like the finisher rank, well, finisher rank actually is like kind of helpful in some regards. Average battle damage is definitely like a for fun number, but win rate when played is actually a pretty notable figure. It might seem kind of useless, but it actually kind of highlights, I don't know, if it were available for every single card, which is my #1 gripe with the card report feature in general, I think it's awesome that Konami has included this information in the game. It's not something you see like any other digital card game do. I just wish that the overall information was more accessible, right? Like there is still, like, I think to this day we still have not been given an actual win rate statistic for like Sword Soul cards, which is kind of wild. So it seems like they're kind of like selectively withholding. If we had win rate, win played statistics available for every single card in the game, that would actually be hugely helpful. It could actually be a very good indicator of certain cards that might be underperforming in your deck. Now, granted, this is kind of something that you have to take with a grain of salt, right? Like, for example, Access Code Talker is going to have a huge win rate when played. Does that mean Access Code Talker is like the most broken, obscene card ever? Well, some people might say yes, but I'm in the camp of no. What it really means is that this is just a monster that really only comes out when it's going to be ending the duel, right? Same with like a lot of, end board pieces, I guess, for combos, right? They'll have a higher win rate when played, mostly because when they're played, that means the combo has played out. And of course, if a combo is played out, that player is more likely to win the duel from there. Finisher rank is like kind of a blend, right? I think it is mostly just a fun statistic. However, it can also be a good indicator of like, I guess, what kind of strategies might be performing well in a meta. But it is also more of an indication of like, hey, this monster in particular is most often finishing people off. Like, I was not surprised to see like Cashier Finweir at number 5, for example, but I was actually a little surprised to see Cashier Unicorn at number 6. Although I think all the main deck Cashier monsters, to be fair, are like kind of up there because unlike a lot of strategies which will often end on like extra deck monsters, Cashier often OTKs with their main deck monsters. So, but anyway, always cool to see new features added to the card report. My biggest thing, and I've been saying this on every single survey since they added card report, I just want to be able to see it outside of an actual replay, right? Like, show me the statistics if I want to see them in, like, the deck editor. Oh my god, that would be so insanely helpful, but maybe someday. We'll see. Alright, and then, of course, there was the Ritual Festival. I mean, you all know how I feel about Master Duel events at this point. I don't think this one was any different. I think it was overall pretty boring. It felt like a slog just to get all the gems. And it was very clearly intended to push new secret and selection packs. So, I don't know. I don't have anything more else to say about the Ritual Festival than that, honestly. We did get a version update that fixed some apparent issues while having the Laundry Dragon Maid set and the card list. So, that's good. And yeah, that's pretty much everything for in-game notifications. Now, let's go ahead and switch over here to Master Duel Meta. I'll throw this in full screen here. And, yeah, actually, this one isn't, like, a leak or anything. I just didn't see it in Master Duel itself. But there was a minor Legacy Pack update. This one, oh god, this person does not really like Legacy Packs, do they? Yeah, this update is really not that relevant at all, honestly. Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at all the cards here. This new UR is, like, such a nothing card. And I've seen some people say that full active duplex is, like, not awful. And I can see how it might be a decent OTK tool for cyber stacks, but I don't think for the vast majority of them it's actually something that's like worth exploring. Maybe there's like a specific combo that this is useful in, I don't know, but yeah, not really much to say in that regard. Let's take a look at some tournament results here. So I want to talk in particular about tournament results this week because I want to talk particularly about Vanquish Soul. Vanquish Soul is actually performing pretty well in tournaments. Like, here it only got 1 top, and if you look at the MCS, like, it got 2 here. Like, it might not seem like it's getting, like, a whole lot of tops, but I think relative to its power level in the current format, I would say Vanquish Soul is performing as well as expected, if not maybe even overperforming a little bit. It's just kind of funny seeing Vanquish Soul and how it's performing, particularly in comparison to Kashira, right? Kashira was an archetype that we saw in the usage rate statistic was being very widely played, but despite that, it was just not able to actually put up any real tournament results, like, at all, even. Well, not at all. It did put up a few, but in the first, like, week that we've seen Vanquish Soul cards be legal, they've already had more tournament tops than Kashira. So, I will say this much about Kashira. I suspect that now people might actually be underrating it a little bit. Like, obviously, when it was released, pretty much up until this point, I think Kashira was, like, very massively overhyped. And I think after we started to see the deck not perform well in tournaments, right, you would see like MCSs, right? You have an MCS of like 250 plus people, and KASH putting up one, if any, tops at all. I think last time was week 3, but in week 2 wasn't it like 0 KASH shops or something, which is kind of insane, especially when you consider like how wide of the played pool KASH was. Like in earlier MCS season 2 weeks, KASH was like 17% of the play field. But in the latest MCS, which I'm using that mostly as a reference because the participation is so high in those tournaments, in the latest one it dropped. It plummeted down to 5%. Now, should 17% of the field be KASH, given its consistency and power level? No. However, should only 5% of the field be KASH? I'm kind of inclined to say no as well, honestly. So I think that we might see KASH maybe creep back up a little bit now that it's kind of like, I think it's hit its low, honestly. But we could also see KASH stay here in terms of like its power level. Like, it's also definitely a lot different to compare KASH tournament results as compared to how KASH does on ladder. I mean, that's true of any deck. Ladder and tournament results are always going to be very different, but KASH, I will say, is definitely a much better laddering deck than it is a tournament deck, because, mainly, again, just because of consistency, right? But, anyway. Yeah, we're seeing Dragon Link do pretty well here in the Meta Weekly. Oh, MathMech, of course, too. We gotta talk about MathMech. Yeah, I think MathMech has definitely proven itself to be pretty consistently able to top events now that the new support has come out. We're seeing it in, actually, we don't see it at all in the Master Cup, which is kind of interesting, but, you know, for the most part, we're seeing it about as much as, if not maybe a little bit more than Vanquish Soul, which, granted, you know, if I think Vanquish Soul is a tier 3 deck, which I do, and I think MathMech is a tier 2 deck that might border on tier 1, which is about where I think it is, that those, you know, corresponding results in tournaments definitely seem to make a lot of sense. But anyway, let's go ahead and take a look at some of the actual lists now and see what's actually been winning the tournaments here. So, wow, we did actually have Vanquish Soul take first place here in the Meta Weekly, despite only getting one top 16 slot. That's actually very impressive, honestly. Especially considering that, you know, the deck was brand new to Master Duel. Granted, this could have been somebody who has, like, TCG experience with the deck, but... Now, I don't know enough about Vanquish Soul to tell you, like, how teched out this list is, how typical it is. From what I can tell, this seems to be a fairly standard Vanquish Soul list, just from what I've run across on, like, ladder and such. But that's not to detract from the result at all. Definitely huge congrats to Judeo YGO here. Alright, we got Pearly taking second place, probably to nobody's surprise. I think Pearly is definitely still the best deck of the format here. Eon Flute getting top 4 with good old Flaunderies here. And looks like Rivers coming up in top 4 as well with 60 card Dragon Link. Cool stuff. Alright, we got Naturia Runic still putting up some good results. I mean, it's still more than a fine deck. It's a great deck, actually, right now. I've seen some people say that it's a little bit underrated. I actually might agree. I think it's very slightly underrated, but... when you do see it show up in top 16s, when you do see it show up in tournaments, you do tend to see it do pretty well. So, yeah, I got that top 8 slot here. Branded Despia, not quite as underrated, I don't think, but it's another one of those decks that, like, might not make up the most of the pie chart, but you'll pretty much always see a Branded Despia deck in pretty much any given top 16 slot. So, another 60 card Dragon Link deck here. Oh wow, we did actually have a KASH deck top here. That's pretty, it's almost surprising at this point, but nah, it's not like the most surprising. Again, if I think KASH is like a tier 2 deck, which is probably where I would put it right now, then you would definitely still expect to see a top here and there. Only one of each Pathfinder and Desires is kind of interesting, but yeah, seems to be good enough. Ghost Trick Pearly here. Looks like we have Runic Furhire in this slot with, of course, sprites as well. But I think it's kind of a given that you play a small sprite package in that deck. Lab. I'm actually surprised to see Lab only get a top 16 slot, not even get top 8. I feel like I've been seeing less and less Labyrinth lately, and I'm not really sure why. I think the deck is still tier 1. Maybe both being control decks, there's like a decent overlap in Labyrinth and Vanquish Soul players, and Maybe it might just be a lot of lab players are on Vanquish Soul right now. Who knows? Got Scar Black here on Mathmech. We've actually seen Scar Black top with Mathmech, I think, in another tournament. Might even be the MCS, or... I know I've played against Scar Black in the MCS. Very, very good duelist here. Looks like we were choosing to forego the microcoder. We do have the parallel exceeds, though. I am probably thinking about putting these back in the... Well, here's the thing, right? I know I've kind of dogged on Heat Soul a lot in Mathmech, but I will say this. I think that parallel exceed is still pretty good in Mathmech, and I think if you're going to play parallel exceed, then it makes more sense to play Heat Soul, because the extra second extender from the parallel exceed, that will in turn make it easier to go into the Heat Soul. So that makes a lot of sense there, I think. Oh, here's the Orcus Dragon Link deck. I did see that little asterisk with Orcus next to the Dragon Link in the top there. And then Cypher Ghost, very apt name for somebody on Mathmech here. A relatively standard Mathmech list, also running the Firewall Defensors. Was Scar Black playing Nabla? I didn't see Nabla here, even though they are on Defensor. I guess we're kind of banking on opening an extender with the Defensor, which isn't the most unlikely thing in the world, to be fair. Alright, we got Panda Magician here. And the Labyrinth is taking up the rear here. So that is going to be the results from the Meta Weekly. Let's take a look at the Master Circuit Series. Master Circuit Series, seeing a lot of Pearly to be expected. Dragon Link, I think, is overperforming this week very slightly because Mathmech is seeing a boost in popularity. But maybe that will not just be a one-week thing. Maybe that will actually be a meta shift we observe. I will say that Dragon Link is not only favored due to Mathmech getting stronger, and of course the Bestials that Dragon Link is playing being good, but also with Cashier seeing a lot less play, Dragon Link becomes a lot better as a result. For first place in the MCS this week, though, it went to I Wish I Was Dead on @Ignister. I think it got counted as one of the Mathmech lists here, but this is definitely a decidedly @Ignister build, and if you are eager to see some @Ignister content, particularly some featuring I Wish I Was Dead, then you'll definitely have a lot to look forward to in the very near future. We'll just say that. But very tight list that I Wish I Was Dead was on. Very, very good here. P-Shift, another MCS regular on Pearly. Actually on the full Shadal package, even running the Magical Ice Fusion to go into the window. So it's cool. Cool to see Pearly do so well with such a irregular package there. Quantal Think, this is another person I've definitely been wrecked by in the MCS before. Looks like they got top 4 with a pretty tight 40-card Dragon Link list here. Interesting that they opted to go for 40 cards, because I often do for Dragon Link as well, and a lot of people always tell me it's wrong, but Quantal did it pretty well here. -1, another MCS regular, topping with Pearly. Here's Scar Black. Okay, Scar Black did do well in the MCS as well. That's what I thought, so... Yeah, huge shout out to Scar Black, doing so well with Mathmech in tournaments this week here. I'll definitely be taking a couple of pages from your book here and your builds for sure. Makonko got top 8 here. Good stuff. We are seeing another Dragon Link list here. This one's 42 cards. Although displaying the 2 triple tech, you could debatably just cut those, but not that triple tech is a bad card, but. Dolphin Man. Sorry, I just thought of Ocean Man, the song there for a second. Looks like they are also using Mathmech. Looks like they are also on the Thunderstrike Kaiju, which I've kind of considered over the Kurikara before, but like, I think I'd be more inclined to tech Duel now with the way the meta is shifting. No Heat Soul here, though. Vanquish Soul did also get a couple of tops, actually, but looks like it, unlike the Meta Weekly, was not able to push past top 8 this time around. Oh, here we have Labyrinth. I saw the Wannabe in the Barrier session. I was like, wait, what deck is this? It's Lab, of course. Hey, got another Jideo Yu-Gi-Oh! Who won the Meta Week League. Another 2-time topper here with the new stuff, this time with Vanquish Soul. Congrats, congrats. Got another Pearly list. Me is Smart. That's a funny name. Specifically a, like... I think this is, like, particularly a V-linking build of Mathmech. Like, I know when you play the Backup Secretary and the Code Generator, and most notably the Salomon Great Sanctuary, is what kind of gives it away. Is like, this is particularly, I think, a build that's trying to V-link. Plus, of course, the extra deck looks a lot different. I think this once again got counted as a Math Mech deck, but it's really more of like a Cybers pile. What ends up happening is that Math Mech cards just end up being optimal to play in Cybers pile. So I think a lot of Cybers piles kind of get counted as Math Mech here, but Metaphil, another name I know I've seen a lot in the MCS, Pusheen as well. Got Pearly, Ghost Trick Pearly in particular, and Dragon Link respectively. And of course, good old Trishula was on Dragon Link too. So, alright, there is a couple of the bigger tournaments, maybe a couple of smaller ones here too. The Master Cup was a particularly interesting result because it was after the new support came out, and in spite of that, we saw no real Cyber stuff seeing play, and only the one Vanquish Soul was mostly Branded Lab and Sword Soul that did well here. So, looks like specifically Tier Lab on 60 cards managed to win. Goaty Tier actually managed to get second here. It's cool. Got a Lab list here. Pearly, I think that was Ghost Trick. Yep, Ghost Trick Pearly. Pretty typical D-Link list here. Tackle Crusader Labyrinth. Tackle Crusader is a pretty cool tech card in that deck. Got another Lab build here. There is the Vanquish Soul deck. And, yeah, there we go for that tournament's top 8. And then finally, let's take a look at the China tournament here. 77 players. Looks like Branded Vanquish Soul did pretty well here again. Dragon Link ended up taking first place. Followed up by Branded here, 60 card variant. Ooh, KASH Punk actually got third here. Third/4th, whatever, but this is a very tight list. I like this list a lot. Actually, well, I probably like it because it looks like mine. They're just playing Valor is the main difference, but that's cool. Oh, and the extra deck is actually quite a bit different too, but the extra deck for Punk is so wide open. There's like so many things you could play. Okay, here we have Math Mech, once again doing pretty well, not to probably few people's surprise, rather, jeez. Drytron managed to sneak into top 8 here, that's pretty cool. Here's the Vanquish Soul list, and the other Vanquish Soul list, and the other Branded list. Alright, there we go, those are the tournament results, and that is going to wrap up this week in Master Duel. So, yeah, major things we've been seeing with the new selection pack is that Vanquish Soul is living up to the hype. I wouldn't call it like a tier 1 deck, but I would definitely say it's at least tier 3. I might even call it a tier 2 deck. We'll see. We'll see how the rest of the meta for this season ends up shaking out here. And yeah, we're also seeing Math Mech / Cybersex in general, seeing that nice boost from their new support. But again, we are seeing a decided lack of Cashier, which, as the weeks go on, I think is to fewer and fewer people's surprise. But that'll go ahead and do it for this video. Let us move now to our outro. Alright everybody, that's going to do it for this video. Thank you for watching it all the way to the very end. That means a whole lot to me, and it's also a fantastic way to support the channel. And if you're interested in supporting the channel in other ways besides YouTube, there are plenty of ways to do that. If you check out the description below, you'll find a bunch of links down there. One of them goes to my Patreon. You're actually seeing the names of everyone subscribed to the Patreon on the screen right now. So if you're interested in getting your name in the credits here at the end, if you want to see more daily Master Duel content, or if you're interested in one-on-one private coaching sessions, I offer all of that on Patreon. I also stream live on Twitch. Feel free to go ahead and click that link and follow and or subscribe there. I also have the Discord community, if you want to follow that link, where hundreds of duelists have already signed up. Free to join, and you can just come hang out, talk about the game, and chill in general. Final link that's going to be in the description is my Twitter. You can follow that if you want some more notifications of what's happening with the channel. So, all in all, thank you all so much for watching, and I hope you have a fantastic day.